Good afternoon, America. My name is Justin Yaddya Johnson. I'm the founder of an organization here in D.C. named Long Live Go-Go. We are the founders of Mochella as well. And pretty much gun violence has always affected me indirectly and just recently directly with the incident that just happened after our demonstration on Juneteenth. But what we do here in D.C. is garner an audience of all ages, seniors to infants, at our demonstrations to speak up against a lot of the inequities that are happening socially in the city, and not just in the city, but in the country as well. Everything is connected, and gun violence is something that our community knows about a little bit too well. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has been affected directly. We have a lot of juveniles who are walking around with weapons. We have people walking around with firearms that aren't registered, and all too often, a life is lost. Families' hearts are shattered, and gun violence has been an issue that has affected us for years. So it's something that is way long overdue to attack as a collective. This infrastructure in the bill that you all are discussing, the legislation, some of the points are cool, but I feel like it won't be the end to gun violence as a whole. Just passing this legislation that you all are discussing now is going to take a lot of work consistently, and we always have to think about the root of these issues. And I always say that a lot of gun violence, I feel, is economically motivated. Like my colleague said, we come from a community that's traditionally been under-resourced, have been the targets of one of the highest rates of gentrification here in the city. The schools are underfunded. There aren't many resources in the neighborhoods for, many outlets for the kids to express themselves or even cultivate their skills. The trade programs have been taken out of the schools, so a lot of, people leaving high school are looking for ways to make money in this weird time, especially post-pandemic. So I say a lot of the violence, I feel, is economically motivated. So we have to really think about, the root and where these ideas come from, and it comes from a mindset. So if we want to look to change gun violence, I think we have to start to look into the mindsets of the community, the mindset of the youth, and the mindset of these people that are committing crimes, because guns do not shoot themselves. So we have to think about how we can put people in a better position to survive and thrive in this society, and not just live meager lifestyles, not just be exposed to what's in their community. Ward 7 and 8 here in D.C., is a humongous food desert. People don't even know where they can go and purchase nutritious food to eat. So all of these things affect how you think, the way you eat, where you go to school, what you do in your daily life. Your lifestyle affects your mindset, and your mindset affects your decisions. So I feel like we really want to put a end to gun violence. We'll have to collectively figure out how we can put people, and most specifically people in the black and brown community, in a better position to thrive in this society, not just exist, but to thrive. Also, I know a lot of people in affluent communities around the country might hear about gun violence, but to them it may just seem like a statistic. You hear about it, but it's different when you're actually inside of, the actual spaces where they're happening. So I'm glad that we're at this point to open the eyes of people around the country. I think this is something that people have already been aware of. They know that gun violence is something that is affecting people around the world. But one thing that does bother me with this infrastructure and this legislation is that a lot of resources will go to states, and we're here in Washington, D.C., where we're not a state. So once again, even if we are able to push this legislation through, I think that us as Washingtonians will still have a hurdle to get over when it comes to receiving a lot of these resources, which I think is another huge problem when the city and the federal government allot resources for specific programs and communities. Are these resources truly touching these communities or these people? So we have to do our due diligence to make sure that what we are giving, the people are actually receiving, and not just receiving it, but they're actually able to utilize it and be put in a better position to win. So gun violence is not something that's going to end with just the passing of this legislation, but this is a start to be able to show our concern and how serious we are about taking action, because the time is now. I feel once again that gun violence is something that has affected us all indirectly and some of us directly, but it's not something that we have to keep enduring. So with that being said, I definitely feel like even further than this bill, we have to think about the plight of the Washingtonians and the under-resourced community right here in your own backyard. You know, we're up here on the hill, but this is home to a community that is constantly and consistently looked over, and consistently kind of given the short end of the stick. A lot of people now don't even know how they can pay their rent to even live in this city, and I feel like that's completely unfair. So we talk about gun violence, we have to talk about all these things too. So I appreciate you all having me today, and I hope that I can continue to help you all push this effort to make sure that gun violence is decreased heavily. Thank you.